Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Buddham dhammang sangham namasami. Dear friends, our blessings are growing and growing because now we have, in addition to myself, Ayya Brahmavara, we have Venerable Kaccayana here with us. And I also want to shine the camera on Seminary Tavira. She has been serving and working for our Sangha with so much effort and diligence and love for many, many months. Finally, this afternoon, she's being let go for 3 months, 3 weeks, I mean. 3 weeks of complete personal meditation time where we have a chance to serve her, to take care of the cooking and cleaning and giving the meals and so forth. We all, I think, join together in blessing and dedicating our practice of whatever good we do today. Let the merits of today go to help Seminary Tavira to have a complete success during this retreat coming up. We also have in the room Seminary Satyama, who is here with us. Satyama also has been serving a lot and will be serving throughout this retreat and then having some personal retreat time later. Today, I wanted to focus on what the sutta says about the Satta Bodhjanga, the 7 factors of awakening. And without further ado, I shall open the screen for that. This is in the middle or coming down the home stretch of the Anapanasati Sutta, which is distinguished from the Anapanasati Sutta. Anapanasati is the sutta about breathing in and breathing out, number 118 in the middle length discourses. I have chosen a couple of other shorter suttas, if we get to them today, that just have a couple of sentences which help us to deepen our understanding. But for now, I hope we can just understand what these factors are one by one and what the significance is. So it says, how are the 4 kinds of mindfulness meditation developed and cultivated so as to fulfill the 7 awakening factors? Bodhjanga is a bodhi, that means awakening, and anga, which means like fingers or elements or components or factors. So you can remember Angulimala had a necklace of 99 fingers that he wore. There's the Anga Ulimala. And so the bojjhanga, or the elements of awakening. This does not mean the qualities of an arahant or somebody who is fully enlightened. Long before one is fully enlightened, these are the qualities that take us there. These are the qualities that are useful from getting from here to there. So, whenever a mendicant observing an aspect of the body, at that time, their mindfulness is established and lucid. Kaya nupasi. Anupasana is contemplation, observing an object or a theme. Kaya means this body, and kaya means the body in the body. This is something that different translators have different explanations for. Sujato makes it as an aspect of the body. Another teacher explains it as not like having an experience and then later on remembering an experience that you had before, reflecting on what the significance or what the meaning is, but instead being together in real time, that we are within the body, experiencing the body, and while we're experiencing the body, we're contemplating the body. So it's like being a participant observer. We're participating in the experience with the body and observing at the same time. Both in terms of kind of a subjective experience, just the flow of the different aspects of the body, feeling. One can feel that the heaviness or the earthiness of the body and the airiness of the body, the heat of the body, those different elements of the body. But then while you experience it, that you also have got a sort of objective, like you're standing away outside of yourself and looking at yourself in the mirror. Or if you're having an out-of-body experience, your consciousness is up on the ceiling and you're looking down on your body and you're seeing the body. You're seeing this is your body. In that case, one can notice the difference between the inner and the outer, in the sense that this so-called objective or conceptual view of the body seems to be intact, compact object that's all one thing. So if I'm looking at Ayya Sobhana's body objectively, I could say every atom of that body, from the top of the head to the bottom of the toes, all of it is part of Sobhana. And even though in one way we see that that body's constantly changing, in another way that objective view is sort of like attributing some kind of permanence. But then when you go on the inside, so what's it like to experience being in this body from the inside? Then that compactness and permanence breaks apart, and we can experience it as being impermanent, flowing flow of experiences. So while we are, and this is particularly in reference to the body, in terms of the Anapanasati Sutta, you start out by observing the material body, the physical body, the body of the breath, or observing the breath in the body, that the breath is like one of the physical things that's going on as part of this whole body, and you can experience the body of the breath within all of the other aspects of the body that you can experience. What else do we know about mindfulness? Sati has got a secondary meaning, which is remembering. And one aspect of remembering is that having met the Sama Sambuddha, the perfectly awakened one, through teachings and what's been passed down, and having met the qualified, the good disciples of the Buddha who are practicing in an authentic way, and heard the good Dhamma, and learned how to look at the body, then we can remember what we learned. We could remember not to be lost in space, but instead to be present, connected to the reality that's coming up moment by moment. We can remember to look at the experience with the body by way of rising and disappearing, the impermanent side of it. We can remember that the body is not myself, and just look at it as something which is not our refuge, not ourself, not anything that could be clung to, but instead something that can be let go of. So those are all like examples of ways to understand what this first factor is of mindfulness. Another aspect of mindfulness is mindfulness, especially towards the feeling and the states of mind, being aware of those states of mind which are bright and the states of mind that are dark, the state of mind that is skillful, the state of mind that's unskillful, the state of mind that's following that state of mind, one can go deeper and deeper into pain or dukkha or stress, or a different state of mind that following that different state of mind, one can be letting go of clinging and craving, letting go of pain and distress. So being able to see what is dukkha and what is the end of dukkha, that's also part of mindfulness. And then last of all, you can't have too much mindfulness. If you're feeling extremely energetic and activated, you might not want to add more piety and investigation of states, because those states are active. So if you're already activated, you don't want to get more and more activated. Instead, you want to calm down. But if you're already very calm, then you may want to bring in some of those activating factors to keep yourself on an even keel, sort of balanced in the middle. But you don't want to say, I'm too mindful, I should be less mindful. Instead, the mindfulness is what tells you what's going on and what you need in order to balance your practice. That's all I know about mindfulness. Maybe Brahmavara or Kaccayana can recall something else about mindfulness. Someone else, you have something to add?
Thank you, Ayya. Yeah. Yeah, I think really what you said is the most important thing of all, because the three characteristics is, my sense is so important to just have the mindfulness that's mindful of those realities. So to have the awareness, as you said, really of impermanence, of not self, and of the inherent unsatisfactoriness of the experience. To me, that kind of mindfulness enables us to have that kind of understanding of reality, but also it's really good to bring in the teaching of those three characteristics to sort of enable us to have the right kind of mindfulness. And the only other thing I think of is the atape sampajanyo satima, the clear understanding and the sense of the atape, that sense of the kind of right effort, really. I mean, that sense of enthusiasm and a kind of ardent energy around mindfulness. So, but I think you've said it all, really. These are just a few words. Thank you.
Well, if you've got all that, then naturally you would live mindfully in this way, investigating, explore, and inquire into that principle with wisdom. In this case, the word that he calls principle, that's the Dhamma. The word that he translates as wisdom, panyaya. Bhante Thanissaro translated as discernment. Panyaya is, there's a verb called pajanati, and it's a sort of like it's a direct, full knowing. When I was in college, I wanted to be an English major because, well, I had a crush on somebody and that person had a crush on somebody else who was a poet. And so therefore I decided to be an English major. And without really having a clue, I didn't have the ability to this pajanati to directly understand and get works of literature. So what I ended up doing was like counting words or counting phrases and seeing which types of phrases were coming up the most frequently, and just doing like this sort of like analytical thing to try to figure out, well, what's the point about this novel or this poem? Because I didn't have pajanati. But when you have it, it's like you see it and you get the meaning. And when you get the meaning, you know what to do. When you know what to do, you know the meaning. I think these things are very closely connected. And so Tanisro's translation of discernment is a perception that you're able to see one thing like sort of standing out from the background. And then these dhammas, these principles, it also has a double meaning. The dhamma is the dhamma that you learned because you met a true person who was realized, who was good and who was wise, who you trusted. You listened to them. You paid. You heard the Dhamma that they're teaching, and then having heard that Dhamma, you memorized the Dhamma, and you've learned the lesson. You've learned the game plan. You've learned, say, this systematic teaching, which is very much related to a path of practice that goes step by step. You can start here and just go by baby steps, step by step until you obtain the highest. So then whatever we can experience with that pajanati, with that full understanding, we compare it to the Dhamma that we heard about. from our teachers, and then inquire, like, is this really true? Does it really match up or not? And in so doing, we can realize an understanding of the teachings that were given to us in a way which is really integrated with what we experience directly. But then the other meaning of the Dhamma that relates to what's going on here is about the states of mind. It says elsewhere that one of the approximate cause for this investigation is recognizing the dark and bright, the wholesome and unwholesome, and so forth. So when the Buddha was just a bodhisattva, he took an experiment to sort his thoughts into the dark ones and the bright ones. And the dark ones, he made the effort to dispel those painful and difficult thoughts, and those that were bright and harmless. He didn't have to dispel them. He could welcome them, and he could keep on thinking them all day long until day and night. He could spend whole days and nights thinking these good thoughts, but eventually thinking is too tiresome, and he would let go of thinking altogether. But having that distinction between what is related to our true happiness and what is going the opposite way, which is undermining or going against our true happiness, that's also part of this investigation of Dhamma. Now, again, I'll stop and invite if Ayya Brahmavara, or maybe you can go first. Tell me what else you know about the investigation of Dhamma.
You've covered it pretty well. Yes, because that direct knowing can then also be applied to knowing the dark and bright states, right? It's something that we can feel in our own experience. When we investigate, we can see, is this having the effect that I'm wishing for? If you see a state of mind, if you see what's leading to that state of mind, then to be able to divide what are the things to be paying attention to, what are the things to be developing right here and now through your own knowledge of what's going on when you do one thing versus another. So I think the pajanati that you were pointing out, and also the dark and bright states, those are very much linked to each other here, can be brought together.
You have something to add, Brahmavara?
Yeah, there's a word that comes to my mind in relation to investigation of Dharma, Ayya Sobhana, and it's curiosity. Like when I'm experiencing something, there's this sort of interest and wanting to probe into it more deeply. What is this? What is this feeling? Where is this feeling? How is this feeling changing? This kind of curiosity. It's like an energy. Again, this is an energetic in my awakening factor, isn't it? And it's having that kind of propelling the mindfulness into looking more deeply into the experience. So I think of curiosity, and I just love that quality of curiosity. Like, it's very sort of youthful and alive, and we want to cultivate curiosity in our practice to energize our practice.
Thank you. This factor is something that can be used a lot while we're still suffering, because the Buddha said that dukkha should be fully understood. So if one is in a state where something really difficult or painful has taken over the mind and we don't yet know how to come out of it, then a really fruitful path is just to investigate, just to try to understand. And it can be done with compassion, but instead of just sort of like taking the punishment like a dummy, instead we can investigate, try to understand. And in that way, the curiosity, in a way, can substitute for some other effector. So instead of being angry, instead we become interested in anger. So the interest has substituted for the anger. Then, as they investigate principles with wisdom in this way, their energy is roused up and unflagging. At such a time, a mendicant has activated the awakening factor of energy. They awaken and perfect it. So the energy is called virya, and it's related to the English word hero. So it would be like a heroic energy. And this arata, that means like stirring it up, getting it, waking up the hero that you have within you. And this asalinam is speaking about being, salinam would be like lying down and take a nap, not taking a nap, being persistent. And so here's the awakening factor of energy, develop and perfect it. So one story I've told before was about a young woman who suffered a lot because of addictions and was going to her 12-step meetings with protecting her sobriety, but all this time being constantly in a rage because she had lost so much more than the other people in the group. And so why did she have to lose everything? So every day she would stay sober and she would go to her group and she would feel resentful and bitter. Then eventually was guided to take up meditation and had been meditating for a while. And she said that one day she was going into one of her meetings and she had her grudge with her. And it just kind of like came in a flash, say, you know what, I don't need it. I can just put this grudge down on the sidewalk outside the door and go in the room and I don't have to keep it. And when that like a breakthrough happened, she attributed directly to the meditation that she'd been undertaking. She was going to an insight meditation group. And then she had like so much enthusiasm saying, wow, it works. This program works. The meditation works. Now I really want to go all the way because I can see that it's going to work. So that's one part of this virya. Another part of the virya that has been in my mind recently. Those who are here at the monastery with me know I've been bringing up a metaphor about coaching, having a good coach. And so if somebody is out of shape and they want to become fit, it may be like too much and they just can't get it organized to do the regular fitness program or something like that. But then if they have a coach who can assess where you're at and what you need and take you the next step and take you little by little and encourage you and kind of keep you moving along, then eventually you can overcome the difficulty of sweating and straining and trying and making a heavy kind of effort. And in spite of the heaviness and the pain of it, you keep going and keep going. And then as time goes by, you start to get strength. So then you have both energy and you have some strength. And then you may start to get some skill. And so you can take the energy and the strength and you can aim it in the right direction to be able to become, more and more stronger and better without injuring yourself, and be able to, throw the ball and hit the target, and being able to use this energy in a skillful and well-directed, effective way. And then eventually you don't feel the tiredness of it, and the being worn out, or exhausted because you used up all that you have. Instead, with the greatness of this path of training, we've built up enough energy, like so that we've got enough even in reserve, that we can exert the right kind of energy to our practice, and not too much, not too little, not in the wrong direction, but in the right direction. And then we can keep going without needing to stop, without needing to fall backwards. Those are some ideas that I have about this energy factor. And again, I'll invite others to add to what I said. What did I leave out?
I mean, I guess it's sort of like a flow state, right? Or being in the zone or something.
I think so.
Yeah. I'm appreciating your coaching metaphors on this Super Bowl Sunday. A couple days ago, you were telling us about being in the locker room and drawing all the little diagrams on the board, and planning and going out, and then really, not having the theory of that, and then going out and really doing it.
Right.
So
if you just understand the chart, but you didn't go out on the field.
right. Yeah. So this is where that energy gets applied. Like, you do have to have a little bit of a theory there. You have to have some skill. That's where maybe your investigation is related to that. But going out there and doing it, and like feeling the energy, and people do feel energized when going out and doing sports. Right? That's why they do it.
Ramar, would you like to say something about the 4 right efforts?
Sure, I was just reminded by Venerable Kaccayana talking about the flow, being in the flow. That verse in the Samyutta Nikaya about how to get the right amount of energy, and trying to cross a river. That simile of if you put in too much effort, too much energy, and you're plowing across as quickly as you can, you're going to run out of steam, and you're going to end up getting carried away by the current. And equally, if you go too slowly, you're taking your time, you're going to get tired, and you'll be taken away by the current. And that beautiful image of how to get just the right amount of energy going, so that you can sustain, as you said, Ayya Sobhana, that ability to sustain the practice. So it's like not all our energy in a big burst. It's more like pacing ourselves to get it just so. And I think this is really fine-tuning, like for all of us to appreciate the balance. And I'm really reminded of Ajahn Sucitto right now as I'm speaking, because he gives this teaching. He says, don't put 100% of your effort into things. Make it more like 70%. So you've got 30% in reserve. And I think that's very interesting to consider.
When they're energetic, rapture not of the flesh arises. Arada, stirring up, viryasa, from stirring up energy, upajati, there arises. Piti. It's better to just use the Pali word because the translations are so confusing. And then niramisa, sometimes they call it a spiritual rapture, but Ramisa literally means the meat. So it's there's a kind of a pleasure that's like it's related to the endorphins that are flowing through the blood. That's like the material, physical kind of happiness, or if you just feel so nice, like just like touching body touching is so pleasant. But then this is something which is apart from that. It's apart from it's happening, I guess, in the sphere of mentality. We're definitely in the realm of meditation, and we see in the sutta piti arising as a result of being secluded from unwholesome states. This could be very closely related to that flow idea that you were speaking about, when in the meditation, instead of needing to be like struggling again and again and again to overcome the different thoughts or the different feelings, the memories, the pain, the emotions, and so many different things that come to us in meditation that we must work with. But then there comes a moment when just the breath itself, or the object of the meditation, is there, and one has gained a kind of a distance from a distance from the hindrances, and then realizing, wow, I'm not struggling with the hindrances right now. Wow, this is great. So that's one. And then later there's another one, which is when this what's called like the seclusion from applied thought and sustained thought. That's the discursive thought and the unification of the mind. It's like then our meditation experience has become even like less work. We don't have to do the constant work of directing mind to breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, and directing the mind to connect with the object and stay on that object like that. But instead, that part of the meditation is like, it's too much work, it's too much agitation, it's too much bother, and the mind like loses interest in that and just stops. And so there's this stillness, and so that's another side of piety. Other teachers emphasize just noticing what we've spoken about a few times recently about the beautiful breath, the beautiful, lovely, pleasant aspect of breath, and aiming the awareness towards that brightness or that fullness can evolve towards the arising of this piety. For some people, it's very gentle, subtle kind of happiness, and for other people, it can be a very titanic kind of powerful. I don't know what, a tsunami of happiness. Something that's really overwhelming. And I'm using natural disaster to describe happiness. That's not. But when it does, it can, if it happens to you, if you've got that kind of practice, that in meditation, these sort of like overwhelming raptures, things happen, so the body is trembling and it's wow. So So there are ways to kind of release and not be like holding on so close to it that it is becomes overwhelming. So again, now I'll invite others to comment about what do we need to understand about PET right now? What's it good for? And how to direct the mind towards allowing that PET to arise. Ayya Brahmavara.
Yeah, I'm just considering, Irish, you're speaking, yeah, how PT is also like one of the, jhana kind of what is it, the leading up to the jhana, these and within the jhana practice, these experiences of rapture and bliss. And then PT leads to sukha, and sukha leads to really letting go of all of that and equanimity. And it's interesting to me that in the enlightenment factors, PT also is like the peak of the energetic side of the awakening factors. And then we have tranquility, pasadi. And it's like, if you stay with rapture, stay with that bliss, even that becomes a bit kind of tedious in the end, a bit jaded. We get a bit weary even of that if it's a prolonged experience, and so it changes. And what it changes into, if we remain mindful, we're paying attention, is it that charge, that excitement sort of calms down, and then it naturally leads into the next thing. So I think that's really interesting. And as you were describing the tsunami, can be overwhelming, but then if we stay with it, we can sort of ride the waves, surf the waves, and then eventually the waters kind of become calmer. So those are my thoughts on PT.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
When the mind is full of PET, the body and mind becomes tranquil. Or you could say even more accurately, the body becomes tranquil, the mind becomes tranquil. At such time, a mendicant has activated the activating factor of tranquility. They develop and perfect it. So in earlier in the Anapanasati Sutta, you had the noticing of the long and short breaths, and then you had tranquilizing the breath, allowing the breath to just settle down and become very subtle and soft and gentle. And then when they turned to the Vedana or the feelings, then they had experiencing the PT, and then tranquilizing those formations. And then when you come to the states of mind, it starts with gladdening the mind and then tranquilizing the mind. So there are many ways, even before one has entered jhana, that one can really practice and develop the skill of bringing about more tranquility in the body and the mind. I happened to Google tranquility of body and the mind just before this, and oh my goodness, I got so many herbal remedies and yoga classes and all kind of different things. So everybody seems to they really want to tranquilize the body and mind. And they're willing to pay a lot of money to buy different products or go to different classes and so forth to learn how to tranquilize the body and mind, because we are so far away from tranquility. This is the problem of our modern time, is that we're just about overwhelmed by stress. And so then it is certainly useful to even long even before entering jhana to practice and learn different ways to develop tranquility. One is just simply paying attention to the body. So if some emotional formation has come along together with a story and a lot of mental proliferation, where you're thinking, that so-and-so did that to me, and how am I going to get my revenge? And that whole train of stress, that to just say, okay, so how do I feel this in the body? Is it a tension? Are the hackles at the back of my neck standing up? Am I feeling the body is aching? Am I feeling a stomach ache? Just, what is it? And just noticing the material physical body counterpart. And then there are ways to then let the physical stress drain out or to go away. Or if there's something that's sort of like chronically locked up into tension in the body, or something painful, one can look into the pain and don't just make it like a threatening danger to my existence, but sort of say, well, is it tingling, or is it trembling, or is it where exactly am I feeling it? Is it always staying the same? If I do something different with the mind, like if I try to recite some sutras, does the pain like disappear from my awareness and then come back so can I see that depending on what the mind is doing, the pain is coming and going? And just there are many different ways, and the same way with thoughts, that you can see that some thoughts lead to a more tranquilized state of mind. And one can intentionally try to reflect and think about those thoughts in order to have a rest from stress and allow the mind to come to tranquility. And then, having done all that at a more mundane or ordinary level, then later on, when you come to do the meditation, you can, within the meditation, tranquilize the body, tranquilize the feeling, tranquilize the thinking, or tranquilize the states of mind. More? Anything else? When the body is tranquil and they feel bliss, the mind becomes immersed in samadhi. I just want to point out that in the 7 factors of awakening, piti is a factor, passaddhi is a factor, and samadhi, or tranquil concentration, is a factor, but sukha, which is usually translated happiness, is not one of the 7 factors of awakening. So if they ever ask you about this, you can say, well, you can say that, but pasada kayasa sukhino chittang samadhyati. So there's the sukha, is right there. So the happy mind, the sukhino chittang, the happy mind becomes concentrated. So having, experiencing this tranquility with the body, the happy mind goes to samadhi. And if samadhi in the formal sense of jhana is something that seems out of reach for you, you can just take the what you experience with your mind, all of the difficulties and the challenges and the emotions that confront us, and all the weakness that we might feel that we have, all of those things, and just treat all of those things with mindfulness, investigation, kindness, and keep practicing mindfulness until someday the moment will come where you could say the mind gets sick of hatred, sick and tired of hatred, sick and tired of sensual pleasure. You're just the perpetual self-centered rumination that the mind does. You take a long retreat and you can really get tired of yourself, because the mind, you don't have that much input, and you don't have like different things to worry about every day, but you're still worrying about like the same stupid thing. And after a couple of weeks about worrying about some foolishness, it says, well, okay, I've done enough. I don't have to do anymore, and then you can stop, and then can become able to come to samadhi. I'll invite. Do you have anything on samadhi?
I sort of have a reflection on everything leading up to samadhi here. I was mentioning before about like the flow state, and thinking about sort of how to. I think that's something that a lot of people have experience of, at least on a more maybe accessible level, even if not thinking about samadhi, like deep samadhi. Still, often people have experiences of some time when it just felt like, they were applying their energies to something and it was just kind of, flowing in this beautiful way, and feeling the joy of that and the ease of that. I remember in my lay life before monastic life, I was involved in, various sorts of amateur musical groups throughout my life, various kinds of folk music or various kinds of things. And I remember that sometimes there would be these times where sort of with that music, like everything came together, and a lot of effort had been put into it initially, but then kind of there was this sort of joyful moment in the midst of whatever was going on with that group together. And then I remember like sometimes coming out of those groups and just feeling this sense of great ease and calm and peace that I didn't really at that time know how to find anywhere else. And that was why I kept going to those groups, because I sort of was able to find it there. And I think I didn't really understand exactly like how was that being produced. And I think in a lot of ways it is exactly what's described here, is that there was a degree of mindfulness and investigation and energy and joy, and then that did lead to that sort of tranquility in a kind of more worldly way. But it, then learning about meditation, it's like learning that that wasn't dependent on having that particular circumstance that I had before, like this musical group that I was joining together with, and having just the right conditions, and somehow just once in a while this flow state would come up and it would all feel wonderful, right? But it was not predictable and not reliable. And then what this here as meditation is giving is sort of a way to train towards that, to understand exactly what it is, what are the relevant circumstances. And then the samadhi here is where it actually like goes beyond that. It's like you've trained it up to this level where you can actually, find that tranquility without the kind of dependence on external circumstances. but just know where it comes from, understand it, be able to produce it. And then here's where it sort of transitions into something that's deeper and goes even beyond that. But that is nevertheless sort of a natural progression in a way. So I'd share that.
I see Richard has a hand up. Do you have something to add here at this moment?
Thank you, Ayya. When the body is tranquil, they feel bliss, the mind becomes immersed in samadhi. Pasada kayasa sukhino chittam samadhiyati. So when the body becomes tranquil, that's that pasada yakasa. But sukhino, now I prefer to translate sukha as su, good, ka, result. And sukhino is a dative. So it's like, we gave our dog a bone, or we gave a bone to our dog. So our dog is like is a dative, right? So it's kind of saying that when the body is tranquil, the good result of our mind state, chittam is like, our own mind state, is samadhi yati, and samadhi is concentration, and yati is like to guide in. So our mind is like, the good result of our mind state is guided to samadhi, like that. Anyways, that's just one way of looking at it. It's just, my own interpretation, but, it might be useful to someone looking at it that way.
Thank you.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Ayya Brahmavar, do you have anything more to say about samadhi? Okay. Now we'll talk about this is the last. At such time, so they've developed and perfected the samadhi. Then they closely watch over that mind immersed in samadhi. At that time, a mendicant has activated the awakening factor of equanimity. They develop and perfect it. So this equanimity is a very powerful factor along the path to awakening. It's what enables us to break free from the gravitational pull of all of the lovable things and the other gravitational pull of all the hateable things that we have on this round of samsara. So in order to be willing to let go of that, the mind needs the strength and the power of this upekkha, this equanimity. It's said in the suttas that there's two kinds of equanimity. One that says equanimity based on diversity, and that is a determination and developing the skill to be not reacting regardless of whatever comes up through the senses. And so whether it's a pleasant feeling, you don't get too excited about a pleasant feeling. If it's an unpleasant feeling, you don't get too excited about an unpleasant feeling. If it's neither pleasant nor unpleasant or a neutral feeling, you don't get too ignorant or dull or just falling asleep when you're around neutral feelings. And instead, you've got the same kind of a clear, like a balanced attention. So for an ordinary person, if there's something that's really pleasant, the mind zeroes in there and really pays attention to that. Or if there's something that's very unpleasant, the mind zeroes in there and pays attention. So then at the end of the day, you remember the one horrible thing and the one wonderful thing that happened through the whole day. But you had billions of moments throughout the day that were neutral, and you can't remember them at all because you didn't notice them. So your mindfulness was only being mindful of things that had that strong polarity with the Vedana, because coming out of those sense contacts. And but if you teach yourself to give equal attention to each moment, say like every 10 seconds, what's happening now? What's happening now? What's happening now? And you could find that you got 8 seconds of neutral Vedana, and 1 second that was pleasant and 1 second that was unpleasant. And if you make that discovery, first of all, you get a lot of freedom because you're not a prisoner of those strong feelings. So that's one way of being able to be not reactive. So it's not just that you're not reactive because you're just, so I will not react. I'm just going to be like steel and I won't react. So it could be that sometimes that's what you have to do, but other times, just because of having a more balanced, equal kind of mindfulness, then that supports not reacting. Or if you see the quality of impermanence also, it supports that not reacting. So that's one kind of equanimity, called equanimity based on diversity. And then the other is called equanimity based on unification. And that's, it's kind of like what is coming within this samadhi, within this deep meditation. It's like the mind has withdrawn into a space that's unified, calm, that has this well-being, this fullness. You feel not touched by external events because you see within something that's much better. So that's an example of 2 kinds of equanimity. Equanimity is certainly not to be confused with being dull or indifferent or bored or not caring. Instead, equanimity is wide awake and really aware and really clear, but it doesn't need to have any preferences. So you're not reaching for anything, not grasping for anything. And this is, again, you know, like while I was preparing for this, I was reading different opinions about it. When people think that the factors of awakening are the qualities of an arahant, they would expect the arahant to be just neutral or just equanimous, but nibbana is the highest happiness. So when one is enlightened, one is got the best kind of happiness. To sum up, that all of these states are, to some degree or another degree, they're very much accessible to us. And it seems to me that it seems like if a person is a stream winner, that these factors of awakening would be like where they live, like the main curriculum for a stream winner is developing these factors of awakening. And actually it comes out in the next little short sutta that I want to show you, but I want to pause here and see if there are questions, comments so far about what you probably, some of you have heard of the factors before, of the Bojjhangas, you've heard of them before. So I would like to have questions and comments in any aspect of it. I'll come back to Richard.
Thank you, Ayya. I just want to point out one thing about equanimity. About 25 times in the Majjhima Nikaya, and the first time is in the fourth sutta. It's described that, let me see if I can find it. Oh, I can find it over here. Okay, section 26. With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, this is Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, and with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, I entered upon and abided in the fourth jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure, and purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. Now, this is why this whole section is about how mindfulness fulfills these factors, right? Because what one's doing is one establishes mindfulness, but you're kind of purifying it and purifying it and purifying and purifying it as you go through these different levels of these factors until you finally reach equanimity, and that's complete purification of mindfulness. It's also the other point I wanted to make is you were talking about equanimity based on diversity and equanimity based on unity. So the equanimity based on diversity is the equanimity that you achieve going up to the fourth jhana, which is comparable to still being in form in the Brahma realms. So that's why it's diversity, because it has to do with form, and from that equanimity, you can see your past lives, you can get the powers, you can understand, the future, lives, not specifically, but where someone's going to go based on their psychology, you might say, in terms of future birth and those type of things. But when you get in the equanimity of unity, which is the formless realm, that's a different equanimity, because you've now gone beyond the diversity of the form realm. So, that's another way of looking at it. Anyway, I just want to make those 2 points. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll call Sa.
Oh, yes, it's Susan. Thank you, Ayya. I wanted to share an insight I had from this talk today. I've been chewing on it for a while. That I always wondered why, if this place is unsatisfactory and dukkha, which I get that, then why would this thing be set up to get out of it? I'm just roughly using these words, to get off the wheel. Then why would it be set up to use wholesomeness? But this talk today helped me realize, connect it. And all of his teachings are about, it's all about detaching from the self. And that's why wholesomeness, it feels, I feel it, like that's why it's not that the universe is good. It doesn't have to do with that. It has to do with dissolving this self. And that's the way, or this perception of this delusional identity. And I feel that's, all the teachings are feeding this path toward that. And I could see that today. I don't know if that helps any, how that's related, but it feeds my motivation. It feeds my motivation to practice, because I couldn't really quite connect. Why are these, but I get it. Oh, I felt it, like it feels. It's when I feel wholesome, when I'm creating wholesomeness, the 7 factors, it feels less attached. I'm less attached. Perfect. And I act, right? Thank you. If you have any feedback,
Great.
that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, Maureen.
the last bit of the talk about equanimity made the most sense to me. As a householder, you spend all this time doing all sorts of things, and when I have equanimity, I can try and see things as they truly are. And I think that greed, hatred, and the delusion of self are at the root of the reactivity that is so harmful and unhelpful in being equanimous. So it's like to me the Brahma Viharas are ways of also approaching equanimity. And I found I was getting lost with all the factors that were being lined up in a sequential way. But in your daily householder life, equanimity is a treasure, and it does help you get through each day. And that's where I'm coming from, I'm afraid.
Thank you so much. And I know that since we're both older in the years, there's a feature with the natural human life cycle that it seems easy for us to find the happiness of equanimity, whereas those who are trying to build a family or trying to become established in their careers and so forth may find that less easy or not quite so natural to attain it. And not to mention being a teenager. God, I mean, how to find equanimity as a teenager. it's very difficult to even imagine it. So what a blessing for us that we lived long enough and we still have a few brain cells left. And we have a chance to really appreciate the value, the spiritual value, and the fantastic power. You know, this Eightfold Noble Path is taking us right up to the doorstep of enlightenment. And the second to the last word in the Noble Eightfold Path is equanimity. And it's sati and equanimity, those two words together, mindfulness and equanimity, are the last two words of the Noble Eightfold Path in the description that we recite. And so if we've got just equanimity, so we're right there at the door. And it may not take too much for us to open the door and step through that, and to find the realization that perfect confidence in the triple gem, which would be the sign of our stream entry. Yeah, I didn't have time to read the other sutras, but I'd like to take a minute and just read you a couple of sentences as like the last thoughts. And I'm going to continue this talk on Tuesday, and try to say like a bit more about sort of like just like a sort of the general pattern of the of that. So just hold on 1 second. Let me get this. Okay. A monk. So this is 46.5 in the Samyutta Nikaya. They're called awakening factors because they lead to awakening. They develop these awakening factors. Mindfulness, investigation of principles, energy, rapture, tranquility, and immersion, and equanimity. And then for what purpose. And then it's got this phrase, they rely on seclusion, fading away, and cessation, and ripen as letting go. So this is a sentence that you could clip and spend the rest of the week just thinking about the meaning of that. Even at the end of the Anapanasati Sutta, when they spoke about the breathing in, aware of the Dhammas, it was being aware of impermanence fading away, cessation, and renunciation. These are almost exactly the same words. So the seclusion, so we're secluded from society, from unwholesome states of mind. We're secluded from even believing in the self, clinging to the self. And that fading away, we see that our reactivity, our emotional reactions are fading away, and the self thing is also fading away. And then the cessation is when our dukkha and craving comes to cease, comes to its end. When we become willing, we've been on this merry-go-round for so long. How many years have you been on a merry-go-round? A billion? Okay, so for this individual, the merry-go-round could stop. That's cessation. And then this ripening as letting go. That means that you don't want to pick it up again. And so that's everything that you practice. Say, what am I practicing for? And so this is a very useful phrase that you could reflect about, saying, in what way is, the way I'm trying to practice my spiritual path, to what degree is it moving me along in this direction, towards this seclusion, fading away of those reactions, the cessation of the dukkha, and letting go. And then they will be freed. They know they're freed. They understand rebirth is ended. The spiritual journey has been complete. What had to be done has been done. There's no return to any state of existence. So that is the completion of the journey. Then I'm going to show you one more. Just a few words I want to plant in your mind that you can take away. This one is called the Sila Sutta. It's 46.3 in the connected discourses. This is kind of like taking us back to the outline that we've been following during this retreat about the factors of the stream entry. Mendicant is accomplished in ethics, immersion, knowledge, freedom, the knowledge and vision of freedom. Even the sight of them is very helpful. So you get to see a true person. You get to see a monastic who is accomplished in these things. Even the sight is very helpful, even to hear them, approach them, pay homage to them, recollect them, go forth following them is very helpful, I say. Why? Because after hearing the teaching of such mendicants, a mendicant will live withdrawn in both the body and mind. So this is the starting of the seclusion. And then they recollect and think about the teaching. This is the thinking, remembering what was taught. Anusarati, and then this recalling and thinking about is also got a connection to developing sati. So then with that, you've activated mindfulness, then you develop it, and then it goes through the factors of awakening that we've just been studying, up to samadhi, up to equanimity. When the 7 awakening factors are developed and cultivated in this way, they can expect 7 fruits and benefits. What's 7? They attain enlightenment early on in this very life. If not, they attain enlightenment at the time of death. If not, with the ending of the 5 lower fetters, they're extinguished between one life and the next life. If not, with the extinguishment of the 5 lower fetters, they're extinguished upon landing. That's upon, so they get 1 rebirth, but then upon being reborn, they experience the extinguishment, then nirvana. If not, with the ending of the 5 lower fetters, they're extinguished without extra effort. So, or if not, with the ending of the 5 lower fetters, they're extinguished with extra effort. If not, with the ending of the 5 lower fetters, they head upstream, going on to the Akanita realm. This is a heavenly realm. When the 7 awakening factors are developed and cultivated in this way, these are the 7 fruits and 7 benefits they can expect. So this is a way of describing the out of the, there's 4 paths and 4 fruits of awakening, starting with stream entry, of becoming a once returner, being a non-returner, or being a fully enlightened arahant. And it's mentioned in this sutta being a once returner, a non-returner, and being a fully enlightened arahant as being the result of practicing with the factors of awakening. But they didn't mention stream entry as being a result of this practice. And this is why it seemed to me that actually the being, when we get to be a stream winner, it's not that hard. When you get to be a stream winner, then this will be your domain, is practicing with these factors until you can go all the way to the full awakening. One who's a stream winner, as some who said stream entry, is said to be a trainee. So everybody else is just sort of like out there in the waiting room applying. They haven't even gotten into college yet. But once you are a stream winner, then you got into college, you got into the school, and then you really have a chance to practice. And is such a wealth, such a cornucopia of wonderful things to learn and discover. So let's try to get into the school, and that's what we have a chance for. Even if all of these ideas about the noble attainments and so forth is like Greek to you, and you haven't learned Greek, but that you don't understand, I think if you could just have the understanding this is something that's reachable, it's something that's doable. I think probably everyone in this room could have the possibility to be a stream winner, and then to have the delights of being a trainee, developing these factors of awakening until they reach the full result. So is that enough? I think so.
Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhaṃ Bhagavaṃ Abhivademi. Suvato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammaṃ Namasami. Suvatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami.
Okay, thank you everyone for your patient listening and for your good practice.
Thank you, Ayya.
Thank you, Ayya.
Thank you.